Close your eyes. Something rare is unfolding. You didn't land here by mistake. Something deeper called you to this moment. Perhaps it was a quiet ache, a sense that there's more than what you've been taught to chase. Tonight, let your breath be the threshold. Let the noise fall away. You've entered a meditation designed not to soothe you into forgetting, but to gently awaken you into remembering. Remembering the part of you that speaks in vibration, that heals without striving, that aligns without effort. If you're listening at midnight, or drifting after a long day, or just searching for the version of yourself that doesn't need to try so hard, you're in the right place. Subscribe if this resonates, and share where you're joining from. I'd love to know. Now settle in. You're about to meet the part of yourself that has been patiently waiting for you beneath every doubt, every delay, every loop. The journey begins in silence and ends in signal. Close your eyes now, not as an act of retreat, but as an act of arrival. Let the world fall back behind your breath. You are not leaving reality, you are tuning it. You are stepping beneath the storylines that have carried you until now. And beneath them you will find something older, something quieter, something more you than even your name. Inhale gently. There. Already the surface of your mind begins to ripple. Already a deeper current stirs. You didn't find this moment through effort. It found you through resonance. Through a signal you've been transmitting silently for years. Without knowing something beyond the frequency of thought, beyond the grasp of logic, something that whispers in the spaces between your distractions. I am ready. Not ready in the way the world demands readiness, with resumes and rituals and proof, but ready in the sacred sense. Ready as permission, ready as softness, ready as surrender. And so you are here, not by algorithm, not by accident, but by alignment. Breathe again, and notice what softens when you do. Your shoulders remember gravity is a friend. Your jaw unknots stories that were never yours. Your ribs make space for a self you forgot you are allowed to be. Already, the field responds. Already, the air around you begins to listen. You are not imagining this. You are remembering this. Somewhere beyond the threshold of routine, beyond the loops of shame and striving, your system has heard a call. Not from outside, from within. And what is arriving now is not an answer, but a mirror. A gentle reflection of what your soul already knows, that you are not here to hustle your way into wholeness. You are here to exhale into it. Let the noise fall away. Let the timeline dissolve. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are listening. And that is enough. You are listening not just with your ears, but with your body, with your cells, with your frequency. This meditation is not a performance. It is a permission slip to tune out the static and feel what's been humming beneath your life all along. You've been chasing clarity, not realizing it was not a destination, but a resonance. You've been seeking alignment, not knowing. It could only begin once you paused the pursuit. Pause now. Not forever, just enough. Enough to notice the breath breathing you, the stillness holding you, the frequency finding you. If you imagine your body now, you might sense a spiral, not a symbol, a sensation, a subtle turning inward. Each loop of the spiral is a letting go of needing to understand, letting go of needing to know how, letting go of the effort to be enough. You are already enough. Not because you've earned it, but because you are it. Each breath pulls you deeper down the spiral, not into sleep, but into softness, into source, into self. Not the self you curate, but the self that quietly waits beneath your trying. That self speaks in vibrations, not words, in energy, not explanation. And it has been speaking to the universe on your behalf all along. You are not separate from the field. You are the field folded temporarily into form. you are not receiving this message. You are remembering it. Every word here is a return, not to the past, but to the part of you untouched by past, the part of you that was never confused, never broken, never behind. You might feel warmth rising now, a flicker behind the ribs, a quiet knowing in the spine, a subtle hum in your palms. These are not random sensations. They are response. They are your body saying yes. Yes to coherence. Yes to a softer frequency. Yes to the version of you that does not hustle, but harmonizes. You have tried fixing. You have tried forcing. But fixing assumes you are wrong, and forcing assumes you are separate from what you seek. Now you are trying something else. Letting life sculpt you with stillness. Letting your nervous system unwind from centuries of inherited tension. Letting your breath untangle the old code, those subconscious contracts you never meant to sign. I'll only be loved if I suffer. I must earn rest. I am not safe unless I control everything. Those scripts are dissolving now, not because you are forcing them to, but because you are no longer feeding them with belief. You are letting the story change. You are letting the field reconfigure. And the field always responds to clarity, not mental clarity, but vibrational. So let yourself be clear, now not in thought, but in signal. What are you ready to outgrow? Whisper it softly in your mind. Say it not as a plea, but as a declaration. Say it in past tense, as if it has already left you. Because on some level, it already has. What you are hearing now is not affirmation. It is activation. These words are not wishes. They are keys. Keys to unlock a deeper frequency within you. Keys to invite your nervous system to remember how peace feels, not imagined peace, but embodied. The kind of peace that doesn't require silence around you, because it flows from silence within you. And as this vibration anchors deeper, your body begins to listen. Not the way your mind listens, scanning for logic, but the way forests listen to wind, the way rivers listen to gravity. Quietly, completely. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not failing. You are recalibrating. You are not stuck. You are pausing, because something inside you knows. The next version of your life cannot be built from the frequency of your old survival. You are done surviving. You are here to signal, and signaling does not come from effort. It comes from coherence. So let your breath be your tuning fork. Let your stillness be your compass. Let your surrender be your strength. There is nothing to earn here. No gatekeeper, no test, just readiness. And if you are still listening, you are ready. You are ready to shed identities that feel like borrowed coats. Ready to release roles that were once protective, but now feel constrictive. Ready to soften the war between your human and your divine. You are both. You are stardust wrapped in skin. You are light braided with lineage. You are ancient intelligence speaking through a modern voice. And you are not alone. You never were. Feel that now, not as a thought, but as a vibration. A soft tingling near your chest. A subtle opening at the base of your spine. These are not symptoms. They are signals. Evidence that something is responding to your yes. Something that doesn't need your credentials, your timeline, or your plan. It only needs your coherence. Your willingness to trust that your very presence is the offering. And so, you offer it, not by striving, but by softening. Not by performing, but by aligning. Not by chasing, but by becoming. And you are becoming now, quietly, deeply, naturally, like roots growing in the dark, like stars flickering behind cloud, like breath softening into rhythm. You are entering a state of frequency, alignment where reality itself begins to bend, not as magic, but as mathematics. Because the field does not respond to force. It responds to frequency. And your frequency is becoming clear dot. Now that the spiral has opened and your system has softened, something deeper begins to emerge, something that was never gone, only quieted. Beneath the noise of needing to be someone else, you feel it in the spaces between words, in the exhale that no longer holds resistance, in the awareness that no longer grasps but gently observes. This is the return of your internal compass, the reawakening of a frequency that does not shout but resonates. And as this deeper part of you becomes more present, you may notice that your thoughts begin to slow, not because you've silenced them, but because they are no longer being fed urgency. The mind becomes a stream instead of a storm. It flows, it moves, it softens, and beneath it, something vaster rises consciousness, not as content, but as space. You are beginning to sense this now, not as theory, but as felt truth, that you are not the thought, but the space through which thoughts pass. You are not the identity, but the observer who remembers identities are garments. You are not the voice of fear, but the silence that listens without judgment. This shift, though quiet, is monumental. It reorders the way reality bends around you. Because the quantum field does not respond to language, it responds to who you are being beneath the language. And now, you are being presence. You are being coherence. You are being the clear signal. Let that sink in. Let that become your resting place, not just in meditation, but in life. Let it guide how you speak, how you walk, how you receive. For so long, you may have lived in a body that believed safety came through control, through performance, through perfection. But now, that belief is loosening. You are allowing a new truth to settle in your tissues, that safety is not something you chase. It's something you generate through self-connection. And in this moment, you are deeply connected, not just to your mind, but to your field, not just to your breath, but to the infinite intelligence beneath it. That intelligence is not distant. It is not elusive. It is immediate, accessible, intimate. You are not summoning it. You are remembering that you are it. And with that remembrance comes a soft kind of power. Not the power that dominates, but the power that magnetizes. You are magnetizing now, not because you want more, but because you've become more available to what already wants you. Notice how desire feels different in this state. No longer frantic, no longer laced with absence. It becomes a frequency rather than a hunger, a quiet readiness instead of a reaching. You are not calling things in with words alone. You are broadcasting your readiness through every cell, through your ease, through your coherence, through your allowing. And the field, always precise, is listening. It is responding. Not to your effort, but to your embodiment. Not to your plans, but to your permission. Not to your push, but to your pulse. Let that be enough. Let that be more than enough. And as you continue resting in this coherence, you may feel new impressions rise, visions, memories, colors, shapes. Do not analyze them, just witness. They are not signs to decode, but signals of integration. Your subconscious is realigning. The inner architecture of your reality is shifting. Old scaffolding is being dissolved. New pathways are being lit. You are not doing this with thought. You are allowing it through trust, through resonance, through deep surrender. And if emotion arises, tears, trembles, unexpected warmth, welcome it. Your body is not breaking. It is remembering how to feel. Feeling is how you receive. Feeling is how you transmit. Feeling is how the field knows you are online. And you are online now, fully, gently, beautifully. In this space, affirmations are not commands, they are confirmations. They are recognitions of what already exists in your deeper field. So let the inner voice rise now, not the critical one, the clear one, the voice that says, I am safe to expand. I am safe to receive. I am safe to no longer abandon myself. I am safe to hold peace without guilt. I am safe to be powerful without noise. I am safe to love without shrinking. I am safe to be seen, and I am safe to rest. Say it in your mind, if you wish, or simply let it vibrate through you. Your nervous system is listening. Your timeline is listening. Reality is listening. And with every coherent breath, it is beginning to rearrange itself, not to give you what you want, but to reflect who you've become. And who you've become is clear. Not complete, but clear. Clear in energy, clear in desire, clear in self. From this place, even your past begins to look different. You may begin to understand that your former self wasn't wrong, just resourced with different beliefs. You no longer need to resent the one who struggled. You can bless them. Thank them. Love them for surviving long enough to bring you here. This is the sacred timeline work, not rejecting what was, but harmonizing it, bringing all parts of you into the same frequency of truth. And the truth is simple. You are worthy, not because of effort, but because of essence. You are valuable, not because of output, but because of existence. You are enough, not because you've done something, because you are something. Something ancient, something luminous, something that cannot be measured, only felt. Let this knowing land. Let it become the floor you walk on, the sky you rise beneath, the code you broadcast in silence. You are no longer chasing coherence. You are coherence. You are no longer begging life to love you. You are loving yourself so fully that life has no choice but to echo it. You are no longer afraid of slowness because you've realized stillness is speed in disguise. You are no longer afraid of surrender because you've remembered surrender is how the field moves. And so now, let it move. Let life move through you, as you, for you. Let your breath be the permission. Let your softness be the signal. Let your body be the instrument through which consciousness composes a new reality. The old one is dissolving. You feel it, don't you? That ache in your ribs that used to be panic is now possibility. That loop in your thoughts that used to demand answers now opens into trust. That tightness in your spine is loosening into readiness. These are not accidents. These are upgrades. Your entire system is listening to the truth beneath these words, not as data, but as design. A new design is unfolding. A new blueprint is activating. One breath at a time. One yes at a time. One silent permission at a time. You are not forcing. A quantum leap, you are becoming a quantum match. And in this frequency, time bends, struggle collapses. Clarity arrives not as thunder, but as a gentle hum in your chest that says, this is it. This is the moment. This is the field. This is the new self quietly blooming inside you, and the world is already responding. Now feel the lightness in your chest, not as emptiness, but as spaciousness, proof that what once weighed heavily has begun to dissolve without a fight. You didn't have to wrestle your way into clarity. You simply softened enough to let clarity arrive. That's the new way, the gentle way, the way of coherence. And now you see it in every corner of your experience. Patterns that once dictated your days begin to lose gravity. Emotional loops that once defined your relationships now feel like echoes instead of commands. You no longer take your triggers as facts, but as frequencies in need of listening. You are not erasing your past, you are refining your response to it. From here, your power is not reaction, but regulation. You no longer search for signs because you've remembered that you are the sign. And the field around you, this mysterious, intelligent field, is not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be honest. Honest in vibration. Honest in desire. Honest in permission. And now you are. That honesty glows inside. You, not loudly, not in declarations, but in the way you breathe, in the way you move without rushing, in the way you say no with softness, in the way you receive without flinching. Something fundamental has shifted, and maybe no one else notices. But that doesn't matter. The field noticed. Your body noticed. Your timeline noticed. You are not here to be seen first. You are here to become seen when your frequency sings loud enough for aligned recognition. And that time is coming. The more you relax into your natural signal, the more life begins to reorient around it. You no longer manifest from force, but from fidelity to the truth of who you are when you're not performing. Fidelity to the stillness beneath the noise. Fidelity to the knowing that nothing aligned can miss you. You have stopped trying to outrun your fear and have learned instead to sit with it until it softens into understanding. You've stopped asking how long it will take and started asking how deeply you can allow. You've stopped using the language of lack words like if, maybe, someday, and begun to speak in the tongue of presence. Already, now, here. You are not imagining this change. You are becoming it. And it's not just energetic. It's cellular. Your nervous system is learning a new rhythm. Your brain is mapping new assumptions. Your immune system is tuning itself to possibility instead of defense. Your gut is processing not just food, but intuition. Your heart is not just pumping, it's broadcasting. Broadcasting a signal that says, I am no longer waiting, I am living. And I trust what arrives to meet me in this clarity. That trust is your new foundation. That trust is not naive. It's ancient. It was born long before the world taught you to fear your softness. Long before society told you your worth must be earned. Long before you learned to seek external permission. For internal truth, that trust was your original setting. And now you are returning to it, not as a memory, but as a frequency. That frequency is weaving itself through everything now. Your relationships shift, not by control, but by calibration. Those who are not aligned begin to fade with grace. Those who see you more clearly begin to appear with ease. Your work begins to feel more like expression than survival. Your sleep becomes sacred, not just a pause, but a portal. Your thoughts soften from loops into landscapes open, fertile, full of space. Even your breath feels different, no longer shallow, no longer stolen by tension, but deep, wide, trusting. Your breath is no longer a fight, it's a song. And that song is heard in dimensions beyond thought. You may feel a warmth in your palms now, a soft buzz behind your eyes, a quiet light in your spine. These are not side effects. These are confirmations. Your body is integrating the truth it once feared to feel. And that truth is simple. You are allowed. You are allowed to rest before you've finished. You are allowed to receive before you've proven. You are allowed to walk away before explaining. You are allowed to take up space without shrinking. You are allowed to thrive without guilt. You are allowed to slow down and still be in alignment. In fact, slowness may be the very frequency you were born to embody. Not because you are lazy, but because you are attuned to precision. Precision does not rush. It listens. It feels. It lands. And you are learning to land now, in your life, in your body, in your purpose. You no longer hover at the edge of your existence. You no longer beg for a version of yourself to arrive. You realize that you are the version, not perfect, not finished, but tuned to what matters, tuned to what calls you deeper, tuned to what you can feel but not name. And that is enough. That is more than enough. This is not the end of a meditation. This is the beginning of a new resonance. One that doesn't need reminders. One that doesn't need scripts. one that simply is. You've woven it into your cells, now into your aura, into your subconscious. Even as you return to the world will feel different, because you are different. Not because you forced change, but because you stopped resisting your original frequency. And that frequency is love. Not performative love, not romanticized love, but the raw, luminous, non-linear force that says yes without needing a reason. That is the field you now walk in. That is the light that now walks in you. And as you continue to live from this place, your very presence becomes a recalibration for others. You do not preach, you radiate. You do not prove, you embody. You do not push, you allow. And in that allowing, new possibilities bloom. Not as distant goals, but as natural extensions of your coherence. Money responds differently to this you. So does intimacy. So does creativity. So does time. You are not asking life to change anymore. You are becoming the space through which life reshapes itself. Every conversation now becomes a portal. Every choice becomes a signal. Every breath becomes a sacred act of remembering. And the more you remember, the more the field remembers you. This is the mirror, the loop of light, the dialogue between self and source, and it never ends. It only deepens. So as you rest tonight, know this: the work is not over, but it is easier. The journey is not complete, but it is clearer. And the self you once hoped to become is no longer waiting in the future. It is arriving in every quiet yes you offer now. Let that yes echo. Let that yes ripple. Let that yes become your new default. Because yes is how reality bends. Yes is how timelines merge. Yes is how you remember that your life is not a test, but a transmission. There is a moment that comes after the transformation has already begun, where you don't feel the shift like a thunderclap, but more like a tide, gradual, persistent, inevitable. And this is that moment now. You may not have realized it, but the way your breath moves, the way your inner voice speaks, the way you feel yourself inside your own skin, it's all changed. Not because you forced change, but because you remembered how to let go of what was never really yours. You are not carrying ancestral shame tonight. You are not rehearsing someone else's script. You are not bending your energy to fit into a version of worthiness designed by fear. You are no longer measuring your spiritual alignment by how much you can tolerate pain. You are no longer building an identity out of what you've survived. Instead, you are building frequency clean, soft, radiant frequency that speaks clearly to the field around you. I remember who I am. I no longer identify with exhaustion. I no longer confuse urgency with importance. I no longer interpret stillness as stuckness. And I no longer need the approval of the past to validate my becoming. This frequency is precise. It doesn't beg. It doesn't justify. It doesn't shout. It simply emanates. Like a tuning fork held against the spine of time, it vibrates your new truth without needing to explain. You don't need to prove to anyone that you are growing. Your nervous system is proof. Your ease is proof. Your peace, unshaken by the noise around you, is proof. You are becoming the quiet in the storm, the stillness in the equation, the breath between the stories. And from this stillness, something begins to bloom. Not in the outer world first, but inside. A gentle unfolding. A petal of knowing. A clarity that doesn't arrive as information, but as coherence. You feel it in the spaces between thoughts. In the way your body no longer braces. In the way your decisions now come not from logic alone, but from embodied yes. That yes is your compass now. Not yes to everything, but yes to truth. Yes to peace. Yes to what expands you. And no has become just as sacred. Not a wall, but a portal. A protection spell that keeps you aligned with the reality you are sculpting through presence. And this reality, it doesn't require sacrifice. It requires precision. It requires you to listen deeply to your own field, because your field is speaking constantly. In every ache, in every flicker of intuition, in every moment where your body says, this feels right, or this doesn't. That is your instrument. That is your oracle. You no longer need cards or codes or constellations to know. You are the knowing. You are the code. You are the signal. And you are becoming fluent in this language, again, not through study, but through surrender. The field speaks in patterns. And now you are the pattern living, breathing, adjusting in real time. You are not stuck. You are integrating. You are not lost. You are shedding. You are not broken. You are branching into directions. That logic hasn't caught up to yet, and that is okay. Your life isn't a problem to solve. It's a signal to honor, a rhythm to follow, a story to feel. You are allowed to be non-linear. You are allowed to be cyclical. You are allowed to take 1,000 gentle steps in the same direction until it becomes a path. And that path is yours. It will not look like anyone else's. It's not supposed to. The version of you that once craved sameness is dissolving now. The version of you that measured safety by how well you could disappear into the crowd has exhaled her final breath. What remains is the presence, the signal, the frequency that is not just you, but through you. It moves your words differently. It animates your creativity. It stirs your relationships. And it anchors your purpose not as a task, but as a tone. You are here to hold a tone. You are here to keep a note ringing through distortion. You are here not to convince others of truth, but to radiate it so clearly they remember their own. This is influence without force. This is leadership without performance. This is healing without hierarchy. And it begins with the way you wake up in the morning, the way you place your feet on the ground, the way you pour your tea, the way you walk past a mirror and no longer wince, the way you honor your body as more than a project. You are not here to sculpt yourself into someone else's ideal. You are here to remember your own sacred geometry, and the geometry is vibrating now in your bones, in your breath, in the field around you that shapes reality, based not on effort, but on resonance. You are the resonance. You are the evidence. And you are the invitation. Not everyone will understand it. Some will resist it. Some will fall away. Some will try to project their unprocessed selves onto your soft certainty. But you are not here to bend for comfort. You are here to beam clarity. And clarity doesn't convince. It simply shines. You are shining now, not in glitter, in gravity, in groundedness, in grace. And that grace makes everything else easier. You no longer fear the pause. You know it's sacred. You no longer doubt the slow season. You know it's fertile. You no longer resent the quiet chapters. You know they're coated with gold. Even sleep has changed for you. It's no longer an escape. It's a ceremony. A space where the field gets to recalibrate your next becoming while your mind rests in surrender. Tonight, you are not falling asleep. You are stepping into sacred integration. Every system in your body is listening to this softness. Every cell is re-encoding. Every strand of DNA is receiving the signal that you are no longer operating from survival. You are operating from trust, from clarity, from coherence. And that coherence is already attracting the next aligned timeline. It doesn't need effort. It needs consistency. Consistency in how you speak to yourself, in how you show up in silence, in how you stay with the discomfort without abandoning your breath, in how you let love enter you without bracing for its departure, in how you let joy expand without waiting for a shoe to drop. You are allowed to be this well this clear, this open, and the world will adjust. Reality is not fixed, it is fluid. And you are the pulse. You are the rhythm. You are the signature vibration that invites new possibilities to take root. Possibilities you couldn't imagine before because you were too busy managing what you thought you deserved. But now, you don't operate from deserve. You operate from decide. You've decided to become. You've decided to receive. You've decided to rest. You've decided to signal not from fear, but from fullness. And fullness doesn't grasp. It overflows. You are overflowing now. With light, with clarity, with a quiet power that doesn't need applause. It just is. You just are. And as you soften into this knowing, as your breath deepens and your body drapes into sleep, you are not ending anything, you are beginning again. And this time, you begin as the signal. And so now, in the stillness that follows your return, in the breath that no longer rushes but rests, you begin to understand something that was always true, but only now feels lived. This state of clarity, of coherence, of luminous soft awareness. It's not a peak to be achieved, but a home to return to. Again and again, gently and faithfully, not because you must, but because you can. There is no high to maintain, no perfect vibration to chase, no final state to grip in fear of losing it. There is only the rhythm of remembrance. There is only the trust that you are held, even when you forget, that you are loved, even when you collapse, that you are whole, even when the mind fractures, because something deeper has rooted in you. Now, not a belief, but a knowing, a felt resonance that moves beneath words. You can sense it in the way silence no longer feels like absence, but like presence. In the way stillness feels like fullness, not lack. In the way you now meet yourself in discomfort, not with escape, but with breath. And that breath, it has become sacred. Not because you told it to be, but because it always was, and you finally slowed enough to notice. It carries more than oxygen. Now, it carries memory. It carries music. It carries intelligence. Every inhale is a reunion. Every exhale is a release. You no longer need to understand each sensation, each thought, each ripple of resistance. You only need to stay, to be with, to witness. That is your power, now not fixing, but holding, not controlling, but attuning. You are the one who attunes now, not to survive, but to sculpt reality. And you are sculpting it effortlessly, just by being, just by walking into rooms and changing their frequency, just by offering your presence without needing to explain it, just by choosing rest in a world addicted to urgency. That choice rest is not lazy, it is radical. It is how you signal to the field that you trust the timeline, that you trust the unfolding, that you trust yourself. And self-trust in this realm is the master key. It unlocks more than outcomes, it unlocks embodiment. The ability to live inside your truth without apology, to speak from clarity without calculation, to say no from love, not guilt, to say yes from soul, not scarcity. You are beginning to embody that now, not as a performance, not as a spiritual badge, but as your new normal. A baseline of coherence that speaks for you, even when you are silent. A broadcast that doesn't seek attention, but emits resonance. You are a frequency holder now, and this doesn't mean you won't forget. It doesn't mean life won't wobble. It doesn't mean pain disappears. But it does mean you are no longer afraid of forgetting, because you know how to return. You are no longer afraid of the wobble, because you are the recalibration. You are no longer defined by pain, because you've remembered how to hold it, how to hear it, how to let it pass through without anchoring it to your identity. The pain you once carried as armor is now compost. The stories you once looped are now soil. You've become the fertile ground where clarity can root without fear of being chased away. And from this ground, you create. You create not from urgency, but from overflow, not to prove, but to express, not for permission, but from devotion. Devotion to life, to aliveness, to truth. You've stopped chasing purpose like a moving target. You've remembered that you are the purpose at the way you eat, rest, walk, speak, pause, receive, love. All of it is purpose made flesh. And the field responds to that embodiment faster than it ever did to your striving. You don't need to manipulate anymore. You don't need to hustle timelines into bending. You only need to hold the signal. That's it. Hold the signal through sleep, through simplicity, through consistency, through your smallest choices. Every time you drink water with intention, every time you choose stillness over distraction, every time you speak kindly to yourself when the old story returns. That's the signal. That's the work. And yes, it's quiet. But quiet doesn't mean weak. Quiet means rooted. Quiet means clear. Quiet means magnetic. You are magnetic now, not because of your looks or your words, but because of your frequency. Because your energy has stopped being split between who you are and who you think you need to be. That gap has closed. That loop has collapsed. What remains is integrity, not the moral kind, but the energetic kind. Alignment that feels like ease in your spine, like breath without bracing, like decisions made from inner yes instead of outer noise. You are building a new life from that place, from that rhythm, from that signal. And the life that responds will be unfamiliar, not because it's not meant for you, but because the version of you who could receive it didn't exist until now. You had to become this coherent, this clear, this soft. And now it is arriving, gently, precisely, not as a miracle, but as a match. The people, the ideas, the resources, the timing. It's all shifting, not to fix you, but to meet you, to match your field. Because you no longer attract what you want. You attract what you are. And you, now, are peace, our presence, our enoughness. Not conceptually, energetically. You are the one who stopped running, who stopped proving, who stopped waiting for someone else to crown you. You've crowned yourself, not with arrogance, but with authenticity. And that authenticity is medicine, for you, for others, for the world. The more you live from it, the more the world remembers. The more you speak from it, the more others soften. The more you rest in it, the more others realize they're allowed to rest too. This is the transmission, not a message. A way of being. A quiet revolution that doesn't shout, but lands. And you are the landing place now. For dreams. For healing. For truth. Let it land. Let it continue landing. Not just tonight, but tomorrow. And every day after. You don't need to grip this state. You don't need to lock it in. It's not fragile. It's not fleeting. It's not a mood. It's a resonance. A return. A home. You are home now, Dot. And now that you've stepped through so many inner gates, now that your nervous system has tasted what it feels like to live from signal instead of survival, something new begins to crystallize. Not another breakthrough, not a peak, but a settling, a soft return. A moment where your inner atmosphere no longer feels like a place you visit, but the place you live. Not just during still meditations or guided breath, but in every choice, every glance, every quiet morning. You are no longer chasing spiritual moments. You are becoming the moment. And in this soft, rounded realization, the final fragments of striving begin to dissolve, like dust finally exhaled from the lungs of your identity. You don't need to earn the next version of you. It's already coded into your breath, already encoded in the way you hold yourself without apology, already visible in the way your thoughts no longer dominate your energy, but move through like soft clouds. You have not become someone new. You have remembered someone eternal. The version of you that sees through the illusion of effort as worth, performance as love, fear as safety. And that version of you is not distant. It is daily. It is here when you eat, when you speak, when you pause before answering, when you choose to rest instead of over-explain. That is the integration. That is the mastery. Not in volume, but in frequency. And the frequency now is quiet power. It hums instead of shouts. It radiates instead of performs. It listens instead of conquers. It simply is. Like sunlight warming stone. Like breath warming ribs. Like knowing, warming timelines. And those timelines, you can feel them, can't you? They no longer feel linear. They feel like a spiral soft, expanding, alive. You can sense where you are never wrong, only early. You can feel how everything hard had hidden intelligence. How every stuckness was a sacred pause for recalibration. You no longer resent delay. You trust it. You no longer fear confusion. You find stillness inside it. Even the unknown has shifted from chaos to conversation. You now listen to what is unclear with the same reverence as you receive clarity. Knowing both are teachers, both are mirrors, both are the music of a reality, constantly rearranging itself to reflect your most current coherence. You are not stagnant. You are not regressing. You are simply sinking. And in this sinking, your identity softens further, not erasing, but expanding. You stop introducing yourself by your pain. You stop narrating your past like proof of your value. You stop carrying old names like scars, and instead begin walking as the frequency you now broadcast, wholeness. You realize you are not the container for your life. You are the field through which it moves. And that realization changes how you relate to everything. Money becomes less about numbers, more about circulation. Time becomes less about scarcity, more about rhythm. Love becomes less about proving, more about becoming. You are no longer an instrument playing someone else's music. You are the song itself, remembering how to echo, how to pause, how to bloom in silence. And silence now is not empty. It is sacred. It's where your clearest self speaks. The you beyond thought, beyond form, beyond time. That self does not seek certainty. It seeks alignment. That self does not chase safety. It becomes safety. That self does not search for truth. It lives it. And you are that self now, not perfectly, but consistently, even in the messy, even in the unknown, especially in the quiet moments where no one is watching. That is where the frequency strengthens, where it imprints, where it anchors. And that anchoring soft, cellular sacred is already shaping the world around you. The way others feel around you, the way your home breathes, the way your sleep deepens, the way your future calls to you, not with pressure, but with promise. You no longer try to leap into alignment. You allow it to unfold in steps, in sips, in sentences, in seconds that ripple. That knowing that there's nothing to fix, only to feel is freedom. And freedom no longer looks like rebellion. It looks like rest. It looks like presence. It looks like a deep inhale before speaking, a gentle boundary drawn with love, a decision made from peace, not panic. You are becoming fluent in this frequency, and your fluency does not come from study. It comes from remembrance, from feeling, from living as if it were already so. And it is. It is so right now. This moment, you are not preparing. You are arriving. You are not waiting. You are witnessing. You are not dreaming. You are decoding. And the dream is becoming real not through force, but through frequency. Because you have remembered what makes things real, coherence. And you are coherent now, even when wobbly, even when tender, especially when soft. That softness, it's the new power, the sacred edge, the place where effort ends and truth begins. And it is from that place that you now return not to the life you left behind, but to the same world seen through a clearer lens. You'll notice the shift in small ways first, in how you move slower, yet more decisively, in how your emotions pass through you instead of anchoring in you, in how your body no longer fights itself, in how rest no longer feels like guilt, but like worship, in how you don't chase signs, you become one. The proof is not in what shows up, but in how you receive it, in how you don't collapse under good things anymore, in how you don't hold your breath when joy arrives, in how you don't abandon your signal just to stay comfortable. You are building inner stamina for your own light, and it shows, not in dramatic ways, but in frequency, in your tone, in your gaze, in your pace. In the field you leave behind in a room long after you've left it. That is mastery. That is embodiment. That is the reality your soul has been waiting for, and it's no longer waiting. It's here. You are here. You made it not by climbing a mountain, but by letting the mountain dissolve. Not by changing yourself, but by unlayering what was never you. And now, in the quiet afterglow of that unlayering, you are lighter. Not because you've escaped, but because you've landed. Fully, completely, lovingly, here. And now, as sleep draws near, you don't fear the dark. You trust it. You don't run from the silence. You open into it. You know the work continues. In your rest, you know the field responds even in your dreams. You know your signal does not stop when your mind sleeps. It deepens. It sinks. It sends the next wave of becoming through your breath, through your bones, through your inner sky. And you rest knowing you are not losing this state. You are anchoring it. You are not forgetting. You are fertilizing. You are not drifting. You are integrating. So let the breath be full. Let the surrender be sweet. Let the quiet be sacred. You have done enough. You are enough. And the frequency, it will continue long after this. And so you rest, not because you are escaping anything, but because you are choosing to trust that everything recalibrates in the silence. You know now that the field is not something you visit, it is something you become. Every time you step out of urgency, every time you pause long enough to feel your body instead of control it, every time you surrender an old thought without needing a new one to replace it, you become the field. You become the frequency that bends reality, not through pressure, but through purity. And from this purity comes power, the kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind that doesn't require recognition, the kind that ripples without force. This is the power of presence. And presence has become your way of walking through the world. You don't need to manage outcomes anymore. You don't need to preempt failure. You don't need to script-proof your future. You simply align. And alignment doesn't mean perfection. It means coherence. It means becoming so true to your own signal that the world around you has no choice but to reflect it. Not immediately, not always with fanfare, but inevitably. And you've seen the beginnings of this, haven't you? In the small shifts. In the way people respond to you differently. In the way opportunities find you without strain. In the way your body speaks more clearly now, and you finally listen. You're not trying to feel better anymore. You're letting yourself feel whole. And in wholeness, healing happens without needing to be forced. In wholeness, receiving becomes natural, not earned. In wholeness, identity becomes fluid, not lost, but liberating. You've let go of needing to be one thing forever. You've let go of needing to stay the same in order to feel safe. Now, you evolve without resistance. You expand without rupture. You integrate without collapse. And this integration is not a reward, It is a rhythm you've synchronized with through surrender, through stillness, through softness. And it continues now, even as the outer world returns, even as noise re-enters, even as tasks call your name. Because the field doesn't disappear when the meditation ends. It moves with you, through you, as you. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to wrap it in spiritual language for it to stay real. All you need is to remember in traffic, to remember in conversation, to remember when you're tired, to remember when you're triggered, not as a performance, but as a quiet return. A breath back into signal, a step back into softness, a yes back into presence. And that presence doesn't mean you bypass the human. It means you embrace it. With more grace, with more slowness, with more willingness to feel without needing to fix. You're not resisting discomfort. Now you're learning to be with it, to decode it, to hold it until it transforms. And that transformation, that alchemy, is happening in layers. Not all at once, not for show, but for truth. And the truth is this: the version of you that you've stepped into is not a better self. It is the real self, the self uncoiled from conditioning, the self unwound from shame, the self unburdened by urgency, the self who remembers how to hold peace without the world needing to be silent. That's the you who moves forward now. That's the you who speaks not to be right, but to be real, who listens not to answer, but to receive, who creates not for approval, but from overflow. That's the you who no longer walks with clenched fists, but with open hands, no longer holds your breath, but trusts your breath to hold you. And in trusting that breath, you trust life. You trust that what's meant will stay, that what's done will fade, that what's new will rise, not from force, but from readiness. You trust divine timing, not because you need the universe to perform, but because you've become the kind of presence that draws what's aligned without demanding it. You are the magnet now, and that magnetism is not something you add. It's what appears when you subtract the noise, when you strip back the layers, when you become more of what you are and less of what you thought you had to be. And now, even your dreams feel different. No longer desperate, but directional. No longer distant, but dimensional. Dreams not built on lack, but on longing made sacred. Longing that leads you deeper, not into fantasy, but into alignment. You're not chasing a timeline anymore. You're embodying a frequency. And that embodiment is changing everything quietly. Not by drama, but by design. The design of your life no longer comes from external pressure. It comes from internal permission, and you've given yourself that permission to rest, to receive, to rewrite, to remember. And now the remembering is complete, not finished forever, but rooted. Rooted enough to hold you through the next steps, through the next wave, through the next unfolding. You are not starting from scratch anymore. You are starting from signal, and signal is stable. Signal is sovereign. Signal is sacred. Let it carry you now softly. Let it continue to shape what's next, not by pushing you into action, but by calling you into resonance. And that resonance is always here, always now, always waiting not to be found, but to be felt. And now, as the final waves settle and the stillness within you becomes a quiet horizon, you don't need to grasp this moment. You only need to trust that it has already become part of you. Not as something you need to hold on to, but as something that will now hold you. The signal is inside you. The breath is the bridge. The field is always listening. You have recalibrated, not by chasing more, but by becoming less tangled. You are no longer waiting for change. You are resting as the change. So let sleep take you softly. Let the body exhale without effort. Let tomorrow arrive in its own rhythm. The timeline has shifted. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where your new reality begins. And when you wake, you'll find that the remembering continues, not because you try, but because you've allowed. Subscribe if this resonance speaks to you, and know that other stories are already waiting, whispering your name from frequencies you've only just begun to hear.